I'm Shannon Martin. Tonight, the province reports the highest number of daily COVID cases in nearly 7 months.
We should really be bracing for a wave. I mean, we really should be.
This as the number of cases related to the new variant is also spiking.
Just something that you wait all your life for, have that opportunity to be able to come to a Grey Cup, and certainly having your hometown team here, it just makes it that much more better, right?
Grey Cup weekend kicks off in Hamilton. We're there for all the prep ahead of the big game and big party.
I'm Dwight Drummond here with the CBC Toronto team.
A beautiful sunny day for the first ever CBC Sounds of the Season drive-through donation events. Will show you the incredible support in Brampton and Toronto.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Hello there, thanks for joining us. A warning tonight from Ontario public health officials about COVID-19 outbreaks at 2 hockey tournaments likely linked to Omicron. In Ottawa, there's also now confirmed evidence of community transmission of the new variant. Lorenda Redekop has our top story tonight, including concerns now over large gatherings.
Waterloo Region Public Health says it's investigating a strong probability of Omicron cases connected to outbreaks at 2 hockey tournaments. One tournament involving a team from the region with players under 10 years old is connected to 11 cases. That event was held in London. The other tournament with players under 13 was in the Whitby-Ajax area east of Toronto. 20 cases have been connected to that one. Some of the cases have tested positive for a marker that increases the likelihood of Omicron.
It's not surprising. Omicron is here and it's rapidly taking over as the dominant strain. It's very transmissible.
Dr. Isaac Bogosh says the variant's doubling time in Ontario is now 2 to 4 days. This graph from the province's science advisory table shows just how fast it's spreading.
We should really be bracing for a wave. We really should be. I'm not here to sound alarmist, but you can't ignore this. It's painfully clear.
Toronto Public Health is asking almost 20,000 people who attended last Sunday's Raptors game to monitor for symptoms. Team President Masai Ujiri is among those who's tested positive. But health officials say their bigger concern is events like private parties, where people may not be vaccinated and ventilation might not be as good.
Events being held in advance of tomorrow's Grey Cup game in Hamilton are packed with few people wearing masks.
Anytime you have a large number of people gathering together indoors not wearing masks, this is how the virus spreads. Now, the virus doesn't know what you're doing. It doesn't know if you're doing something for a good reason. It doesn't know if it's a special event. It doesn't know if it's a holiday.
He says with many of the new cases being children, getting more kids vaccinated would help stop the spread. On Friday, Ontario announced that all adults can get a booster shot as of January 4th. Dr. Bogosh says it's time for the government to move faster.
I would just open up third dose vaccines to 18 and up. I would. I think we have an opportunity to get ahead of this variant, or at least try to stay a little bit ahead.
The hope now is that a spike in hospitalizations and ICU admissions can be avoided. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Queen's University has declared a COVID outbreak within the student community after a total of 135 new cases were reported this week. According to a statement, the university is working with public health to address the situation. They're urging students to monitor for symptoms and avoid social gatherings. This comes as in-person exams are scheduled to continue. A petition started this week is calling on the university to move those exams online. So far, that has more than 6,000 signatures. Criticism of Canada's ban on travelers from 10 African countries continues to grow. The federal government announced that ban after the Omicron variant was first detected. It caught travelers by surprise, and it now has some international students say they're left scrambling. Delia Ashry has more.
After months of eagerly waiting to travel to Toronto and start her first year at Ryerson University,
just few hours to my flight, and I just couldn't travel, and it was just very, very heartbreaking.
Jewel Talena is an international student who lives in Nigeria. That's one of the 10 African countries banned from entering Canada.
The fact that I couldn't go to Canada and the fact that there wasn't like a notice or like I think that was something that really made me more sad.
Talena's student visa was delayed for several months, which is why she couldn't start her in-person school year in September. Attending classes online has been a challenge.
Because of the time difference, I sleep like 2 a.m. I'll be having classes and people in my house will be sleeping. So I was like, finally, all that's going to be over.
Ryerson University says 8% of their population are international students.
A few hundred students from Nigeria and some others from Egypt. So it's somewhat of a significant population for us.
He says the university has been scrambling to accommodate international students during the pandemic. And now with the added challenge of the travel ban, they're even more concerned.
We also do not have as many online courses as we did throughout the pandemic because we were planning for a more fully in-person semester.
Chair of the Black Scientist Task Force on Vaccine Equity says he doesn't believe the federal government's intentions were discriminatory, but the results are.
The African people are carriers of disease, malaria, cholera, tuberculosis, what have you. That's a sort of the underlying public stigma, which has led to this quick, hasty ban on 5 countries which actually have no Omicron in Southern Africa.
And we just get this perception people have about us about it's African. Before becoming spreading to them, we should keep it to ourselves.
Talena now has to find another way into Canada. She says she plans on traveling through Dubai and quarantining at a hotel when she arrives to Toronto. Now she says she's very excited and hopeful to eventually start her full university experience in person that she's long awaited for in the new year. Dahlia Ashery, CBC News, Toronto.
In other news tonight, a pedestrian was struck and killed in Scarborough. Police say it happened around 11:30 this morning. The driver initially left on foot, but was quickly located. We don't know much about the pedestrian, just that it was a man who died on scene. Police are asking anyone with dash cam footage to come forward. To the U.S. and a story we've been watching all day, a violent series of tornadoes that tore through at least 6 states. At least 70 people are now confirmed dead. Chris Reyes brings us the latest on the destruction and the massive rescue efforts underway.
This is cell phone video of one of several tornadoes that touched down in Kentucky Friday night. By morning, the destruction was evident.
This has been the most devastating tornado event in our state's history.
More than 30 tornadoes were recorded across 6 states in the Midwest and Southeast overnight, leaving a path of wreckage. Roofs blown off, buildings leveled, homes ripped apart. In Arkansas, dozens became trapped in a nursing home, where at least 2 people later died. More than 70 fatalities have been confirmed in Kentucky. Many of them worked at a candle factory that was severely damaged.
I want to find my wife.
This man is still looking for his wife, who works there.
I'm looking for you, baby. We've been looking for you. Me, Tamara, the kid, we all looking for you right now.
In Edwardsville, Illinois, a tornado caused an Amazon warehouse to collapse. Dozens of employees were working the night shift. 2 are now confirmed dead, and many remain unaccounted for.
The back corner where I usually check in and grab my bag and stuff like that, keys for the van, all that was caved in. It was a bathroom over there, so that bathroom was gone.
This woman, whose husband works at the Amazon warehouse, nervously awaits an update.
I have no idea what's going on, and we're just worried sick. We just want to know if he's okay.
One tornado may have traveled up to 365 kilometers across 3 states, potentially breaking a nearly 100-year-old record in the U.S. for longest continuous path for a tornado.
It's just devastating. I mean, I live about 5 miles outside of town. I never imagined in a million years that when we pulled into town tonight that it would be this, that the town would be pretty much gone.
Emergency crews from all over the country have been deployed to the area as a massive search and rescue effort continues. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Let's bring in Sophia Cambalia now. I know you're tracking the wind story here close to home, but you've been watching that one south of the border all day, and those pictures are so horrifying.
It was a devastating swarm of tornadoes that ripped through multiple states, and it was a devastating and perfect storm of ingredients as well. First of all, tropical summer-like heat and humidity. Well, we're feeling it here at home with the record-breaking heat. It was coming up in plumes from the deep south. Along with it, the perfect trigger, this draping cold front, which cut in and sliced into that heat and humidity across the central states. It's associated with the Colorado low that's actually bringing us all of our active weather, the wind, the snow, and the rain. Watch this, though. That convective energy just bubbling up ahead of that cold front, and it was one supercell that latched onto that cold front and rode it nocturnally throughout the night for over 8 hours through multiple states, through 4 U.S. states, creating, yes, possibly the longest U.S. tornadic track ever in history, through multiple states throughout the nighttime hours, creating that swarm of destruction. It's also, to a lesser extent, the same system that is creating all of our record-breaking wind and heat records as well here at home. Over 104 km/h gusts recorded in Hamilton. Those are dangerous wind gusts, especially if you're traveling over any bridges. The Skyway, be cognizant of that. Over 90 km/h throughout other many communities. We've broken wind records in Hamilton, the second place strongest wind gusts ever recorded over the last 12 hours. Third place in Toronto at 96 km/h. These are the kind of winds, folks, that can topple trees and down power lines. At last check, nearly 150,000 without power. The heat records are falling as well. The daily high temperature record has been broken. Last set in 2015 with 14 degrees. We hit the high of 17.7 today. Things fall back down to earth with the seasonal day for the Big Grey Cup tomorrow, but really the winds won't settle down until the pre-dawn hours. Right now, wind warning still in much of southern Ontario. Shannon.
Okay, thanks. Lots to talk about. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
See you soon.
Dozens of volunteers were helping get food and supplies into the hands of those who need it this holiday season.
So a program like this that really leverages and utilizes volunteers and drives out aid and just, gets it to the right places, it's a really solid program, and on today it's a bit more special because we're going to get some of those kids gifts as well. So full bellies and gifts.
Global Medic and Hands Up Toronto were sending packed grocery hampers out with volunteer drivers today, dropping off the goods to families in need. It's part of their Feed the Six program that's providing food kits to 500 families every month. And you've seen the stories here on the news. Ontario's food banks are facing record levels of demand. So today, CBC's Sounds of the Season tried something new. For the first time, our annual fundraiser for GTA Food Banks held drive-through donation events in Toronto and Brampton. Take a look.
I'm Dwight Drummond here with the CBC Toronto team collecting food and donations for Daily Bread and local food banks.
We have been raising money online all December.
And you know what? You're all so generous.
This has been such a challenging time for folks across the GTA. Many have been wondering where their next meal will come from.
And those donations can keep coming all month. Visit our website, Make a Difference. So from our CBC Toronto family to yours, happy holidays!
What's up, guys? It's Drew from CBC's Heartland.
I'm Franco from CBC's Tall Boys.
I'm Vance from CBC's Tall Boys, and today we're hitting the streets so we can fight hunger.
So we're here today because this is a way for the city to give back. Too many Torontonians have been hurting since the pandemic started. We saw at food banks 1.45 million client visits, and this is a way for the city to give back now and at the same time begin to advocate so that we can reduce the lineups at food banks.
That was so much fun today. Thanks if you had a chance to come down and say hello. And this is pretty incredible. Today alone, we raised 3,000 pounds of food and nearly $2,000. CBC Sounds of the Season continues until the end of the month. For more information, including on how to donate, you can head over to cbc.ca/sots. Well, the other big story this weekend is Grey Cup weekend. The CFL's big game and the big party is taking over Hamilton. The hometown Ticats welcome Winnipeg to town. Jamie Strachan has more on tomorrow's showdown.
This is my granddaughter Chelsea, my daughter Melissa, my grandson Colton.
For Rick Alakis, it doesn't get any better than this.
Huge. It's something that you wait all your life for, have that opportunity to be able to come to a Grey Cup, and certainly having your hometown team here, it just makes it that much more better, right?
The longtime Ticats season ticket holder will be at the game tomorrow with 3 generations of his family.
The friendships you make, and you meet people from all across that country, and they're going to have that opportunity as well. So it's huge. It means a lot to me. You can get emotional talking about it.
The 108th Grey Cup is a big deal for the entire city, where the Ticats are Hamilton's only professional team.
It's massive. There's been a buzz in the city for well over a year now, and the city expected the Tiger Cats to be in it. Now, I don't know if the non-football fan understood they actually had to win to get there, but they did.
Winnipeg fans are getting in on the fun as well. There's lots of Blue Bomber blue on the streets of Hamilton.
They seem pretty decent. They're again, blue collar, and I think they really enjoy their team, but unfortunately, I think we're going to take this one.
After missing an entire season because of COVID, fans and players from both sides are savoring this year's Grey Cup.
We're at Grey Cup 108. Around this time last year, I wasn't playing football. I was figuring things out, what I was going to do with my life. So for me, it's personal. It's a privilege to be here for all of us.
The game is extra special for Chris Van Ziel, who grew up nearby and attended Hamilton's McMaster University.
This is my community. These are the people I know. I'm going to have plenty of people up in the stands. I'm living in this moment, and I'm going to do everything I can to allow these guys to put up a Grey Cup on Sunday.
Hamilton is an underdog for Sunday's game, but there's faith the home team can pull through and win Hamilton's first Grey Cup in more than 20 years. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Hamilton.
More trouble with Go Transit. If you tried accessing its website last night or this morning, you may have noticed the site was down. Metrolink says it was all because of a cyber threat. The transit agency decided to take the website down out of an abundance of caution. It says the Canadian government sounded the alarm around web-based services around the globe. By early afternoon today, GoTransit.com was back online. A troubling new study to tell you about tonight. The Center for Addictions and Mental Health says since the pandemic started, suicide attempts are up dramatically among LGBTQ2S homeless youth. Dale Manukduk takes a look at the data and the recommendations.
The CAMH study found 36% of Toronto area LGBTQ2S youth experiencing homelessness have attempted suicide since the COVID-19 pandemic began. 82% have engaged in self-harm, and 77% said they were thinking about suicide.
I have my experiences. I think everybody does and stuff like that in different ways.
The loneliness and isolation can get to a person.
92 youth aged 14 to 29 who identify as LGBTQ2S at risk or experiencing homelessness in the GTA are participating in the study, which will end this month. Many respondents said their housing situation changed during the pandemic. It also reports the number of young people in this community who live in a public space, a vehicle, or a vacant building has increased from 13% to 33%.
There were a portion of these youth who were forced back into unsafe home situations, having to live with their parents, where, in some cases, these were living with abusive parents, situations where they certainly didn't feel safe.
Some of the respondents are clients of the YMC Sprott House, which provides shelter for LGBTQ2S youth aged 16 to 24.
Young people lost their jobs, and the programs and services that they were using ended up really abruptly, some of them.
Access to healthcare and social supports was a huge challenge. 74% report delayed or limited access to services. 31% were unable to access any type of healthcare, and 62% said they were not able to access counseling or support groups.
Poor mental health, depression, anxiety, suicidality. And then, of course, a lot of the young people reported that they feel lonely, that they just felt very, very lonely throughout the pandemic.
Said one respondent, I've had nervous breakdowns, I've had panic attacks, I've had anxiety attacks, I've had severe depressive episodes. Another saying, I had a tough time finding places to go when the pandemic happened. A lot of opportunities and just resources shut down for me. Dr. Abramovich's key recommendation is to prioritize access to healthcare. Others are advocating for an LGBTQ2S specific shelter in the city. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
A holiday market is celebrating female BIPOC business owners. It's called the El Mercado Holiday Market, taking place in Parkdale. There were hats, accessories, hot sauces, and more for sale. Organizers say the market has grown since it first started.
There's a lot of barriers for us to find space, and a space like this allows these vendors to kind of get their name out there and really grow their name in the field that they're marketing in.
Sophia is back with us now. A busy night for you tracking this all. The wind, the power outages, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything with this Colorado low. Of course, we talked about all the damage stateside. Up to northern Ontario, we still have snowfall warnings, winter storm warnings, freezing rain in effect. But throughout the south, really cottage country and south, this is primarily a wind event. Dangerous gusty winds, 104 kilometers an hour, as we mentioned earlier. Look at this, 98 in St. Catharines. That was just recent. These are the type of winds that will potentially down branches and cause power outages. The risk is greatest, of course, on the northern edge of any of the lakeshores. Be really cognizant if you're driving near any of the lakeshores tonight. It's also has been a warm wind. The winds of change are here now, though. But earlier today, we broke a few years ago temperature record. 17.7 we hit today. These are like late spring-like temperatures. So hopefully you enjoyed a few little peaks of sunshine today in between the rain. Back down to earth with a bit of a 10-degree temperature drop for tomorrow. 5 degrees is still above seasonal, though, and it'll finally be with a bunch of sunshine, which will be really nice for the big game, as you heard earlier in Hamilton. You'll be right around seasonal for pregame and just below seasonal for kickoff. And for the drive home, go Ticats. Can I say that? I am on the bandwagon. You will have a few flakes flying throughout the next 12 to 24 hours. These are snow squalls. The winds are coming from the north now. They're picking up steam from those warmer lake waters. Owen Sound, Collingwood at Barrie, and even into the Cobourg area. You can see the flakes fly. And the winds will ease into the pre-dawn hours. Until then, still very gusty into the overnight hours for you tonight. Lots of sun and just above seasonal for the next few days. And then who feels like a little bit of deja vu for midweek? Another uptick with the mid-teens and another rain event for midweek before we have a seasonal weekend ahead when I meet you next. Until then, currently we were sitting at about 3 degrees, which feels like -4. What a difference from the 17, 18 degrees today.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it outside. It was beautiful when we were out doing the Sounds of the Season fundraiser,
Shorts
but what
and
a
t-shirt
change.
weather.
Yes. Thanks so much, Sophia. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website. Have a great night.